Innermost Podcast, where we explore, acknowledge, set right, and show gratitude for our deepest, most private, inward thoughts, emotions, and experiences. As always, you can write to the show anonymously and share your thoughts, experiences, and or stories that you would like to share on the podcast. I am your host, K-Joy, and welcome to the Innermost. Good Monday morning. It's early this morning, and just wanted to kind of drop in and get our Monday motivation going. There are a few things that's going on that are extremely interesting. We're just, it's the end of August. We have September, October, and then maybe a couple of days in November. So we're probably just shy of about 8 or 9 weeks, roughly, if we want to say just maybe like 2 months before a huge election day. Election day happens to be my son's birthday, so it's always interesting around his birthday during election day. But this actual election day falls on his exact birthday. So it has been an interesting change of events. It seems like I remember when Trump was running, former President Trump was running back, against Hillary, right, back in the day. And he kind of ran on the motto of like, people were at that time kind of just tired of politicians and they just wanted a person, just a human being. And that worked for him during that time. And then since then, they decided that maybe we don't want this type of human being. And so then now you have like the divide of people who are for Trump and versus Trump. But what's interesting to me is after that attempted assassination on former President Trump's life, it's interesting to me how the Democrats were smart enough actually to take what worked for Trump, which was being more like human and just like, relating to just regular people versus seeming so, politically correct when it comes to usually the behavior of a politician. Looks like the Democratic Party has really honed into this idea of showing the American people that they are just people, and that's working for them. And so now, whereas before the American people were just looking for just a regular person, they chose former President Trump. Now you have what would be considered a better option for most when it comes to what people expect a human being and a more stable and positive human being to be like. And I mean, that was a very smart rule. Sometimes I sit and I think about like, who is the public relations person? Who's behind deciding like, okay, this is what our campaign is going to represent, because it's genius. You see like all on social media, Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz, you see them videoing going into like convenience stores or sitting down having dinner and talking about their background. They're showcasing the human and quote unquote regular side of them, and it's working. It's gaining them much traction with the American people. What's interesting to me as a believer, and I say believer because, for me, I feel like the term Christian has just become so murky and tainted, and there's so many different beliefs and doctrines, and it's just like a tangled web. But what's interesting to me as a believer is that there is a divide when it comes to Christians in politics. And that is super interesting to me because it seems like in general, Christians are believers. Now let's make this clear. I am a believer. I am a Christian. I am a follower and believer of Christ. Okay. So listen to this statement that I'm about to make. It's so interesting to me that you have people who automatically decide that they're going to vote for former President Donald Trump or vote just straight out Republican despite the person because of certain beliefs that align with their beliefs, right? And take, for example, and I know these are sensitive subjects, but, this is the innermost. Take, for example, the topic of abortion. You have so many believers who are like off top. They immediately they're going to go for the Republican Party or go for whoever it is standing there. They're going to go for that party because of that belief. And that's so interesting to me because when I think of politics, I think of the whole entire country of all people. And as a believer, I believe this, that regardless of what laws are in place, a person will find and figure out a way to do what they want to do, period, no matter what the law is. As a believer, as a follower of Christ, I guess I could say I don't necessarily believe that it is my duty, despite the person in running for office, to try to fight for certain beliefs when at the end of the day that person will have free choice and decide what they want to do. And the reason why I say that is because people get very emotionally invested in this. And I believe in the Spirit of God so much that despite what the law is, I believe that a person that is going to make the choice or decision that they want to make, that if it is for them and if the Lord is who he is, then he has the power, despite the law, to move on that person and have them to make the decision that is best for their life. And so as a believer, I am not going to become emotionally distressed about laws and things and decide on a person who I know their behavior is not conducive to the whole group of people, if that makes sense. And that really is interesting to me because I see that so much where it's like a divisive, there's a division when it comes to believers where they're like, well, you can't be a believer if you're willing to vote for this person or that person. There's so many different things to consider when it comes to politics. And one thing or another doesn't determine your faith. When I speak of faith, faith is above any human law. The Lord's law is above any human law, period. I look at a person as far as their heart and humanity, and as a person of, as they say, color, I'm still like, that term doesn't sit well with me, but because it's a general term and it's a recognizable term, as a person of color, it's hard for me to immediately, just because of my belief, support a person that, although spiritually and religiously, they may say that their belief lines up with mine, but their behavior doesn't line up with my life or my history or with the tone that they're projecting into the world to cause strife. And so that's very interesting because one thing that I found in America, which is founded on many racial and racist and systemic racist principles, is that and I have been in so many different churches, and I made this observation because I grew up in Compton in a Baptist church, and we moved. And as I got older, I've been to so many different non-denominational churches. I've been, visited churches under black pastors and white pastors and Hispanic pastors and so many different things. And I enjoy most the diverse church. And what I find is that in America, if the image of, it's not about the spirit of Jesus, they push the image of Jesus, and it's rooted in racism, and people often support it. And this is one most important thing that I found, that in the black church, they serve God from an inferior point of view, because historically we're used to always being down and asking the Lord and begging in agony for the Lord to bring us up. And when I go in the white churches, they worship the Lord from a superior point of view, where they believe that their connection to the Lord is the reason why they're superior to others. And I've made this observation over time. And if you listen to Christian radio, usually there's a divide in Christian radio. There's gospel radio, and then there's alternative Christian radio. There's rarely a mix. That's why Mandisa was so important, or Lecrae, because they cross cultures. And there's such a divide in Christianity. How in the world could you expect to bring the culture of the country together when there's a divide in your own religion? Whereas there's Christian, we can't even as believers come together and have an understanding of the Spirit of God itself, because we're divided on emotional principles of this earth. And so that's just my observation. And people get so caught up in, well, the Democrats this and their beliefs this and this, that, and the other thing. I hear it. I understand it. But there's also so many other things that are at play, and so much work to do, which within our own beliefs, that I don't even think that that's a subject to be had right now, because of the division that's going on amongst believers. But that's my take on that. Really quick, I do want to discuss that. The other day, my kids missed their whole first week of school. It was very sad. I think I mentioned on the other podcast that my husband had contracted COVID from one of his clients, and so we ended up getting it, but we got it first, and we were trying to protect the kids. It's hard to, once you're in a family, keep the kids at a distance. And so we got over it. We first, and so we were able to go to work, but our kids ended up contracting it later, or testing positive for it. So they missed their whole first week of school this year. And then the second week of school, when they started, our son comes home. I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday. He went back on a Monday or Tuesday. And this kid has been playing baseball for as long as we remember. He did play football at one point. He was at quarterback. Every time the coaches just stuck him at quarterback. And he hasn't played football in about 7 years. And he comes home and he's like, hey, I'm playing football. The coach recruited me. And so we always try to, as parents, support our kids, not push fear, always pray for them, and try to put them in the best possible position for the things that they're interested in. And so this has been something interesting, because about, what was it, August? What is this article? The timing of this article. It says, this was yesterday, August 25th, 2024, 11:52 p.m. Eastern time. It's showing that an Alabama high school football player died on Saturday, a day after he was critically injured during a football game. And I'm telling you, like, my heart and prayers goes out to the family. It says that this kid was 16 years old. And it's scary, right? There's so many different things to worry about as a parent and just as a human being. And immediately, like, you want to pull back and you want to say, oh, no, you can't do this. But is that the right thing to do? Because then now I'm teaching my kid that when bad news come up or something come up, to be fearful, and there's so many different things, because the reality is that, yes, it's a sport and it's not necessary to be played. But like for us, different kids have different personalities, and this kid of ours, our son, he's just has always been the type that just needs to get into something. I mean, our kids are all over the place. He's 15, he'll be 16 soon, and he's still going outside, jumping on a trampoline for hours, just thinking. And so we have busybodies around here. I was an athlete, my husband was an athlete, and that's just what we created was busybodies. But my point is, even with traveling, or you hear things of tragedies all the time, and we've experienced tragedies in our family, and if you allow life, it will paralyze you, and that's not the way to go either. And this also has a lot to do with why I'm a believer in my faith, because it's not as much about religion and tradition. It's more so about having a relationship and having that, knowing that there is an ultimate layer of protection and direction. Not to say that if something happens to you, you didn't have protection or direction. That's not what I'm saying. But it gives you comfort as a person living this life that you won't be stuck in fear. And I can say that because I've experienced what it's like to be stuck and paralyzed by fear and anxiety and depression, to the point where not even wanting to go outside in the world and live. And I think maybe some people are still experiencing the remnants of COVID and the shock of all of that, where a lot of people are still struggling and having anxiety in those areas with just living. And so, even if you're not a spiritual person, I encourage you to explore spirituality, because just living this life and living based on human strength is not enough, especially in these times of an influx of information. It's just not enough. You need some form of comfort to keep you going. There was at one point I was just like, what was it? The other day I was talking to, which is now a friend of ours, and I was telling her that, there was a point in my life where I know that I would not be able to do all the things that I'm doing right now. I would be stuck and paralyzed in the stress and anxiety of life itself. And so raising kids, especially in these days and times, is very unique and different, because there's so many different things. And me and my husband try not to so much shield our kids from everything, but rather teach them how to maneuver in this life and how to be prayerful and how to identify danger, or identify potential danger, or and most importantly, identify a safe place, so that when you know the difference, so that you can enjoy your life. So that's that. And going back to the friend that I end up speaking to, that's a whole cool situation in itself, because my husband ended up getting in contact with one of his high school teammates, who happened to be in town where we are, and with his family. And I'm aware that they were close, because I remember me and my husband have been married 17 years in September. So I remember him always speaking so fondly of this friend. I've met him a couple of times when we were younger, and it's just a trip to see so many years pass, and to see them come back together again. And, this has happened to me before too, but it ended up not resulting in a positive situation. So I was excited and eager to see them come together, because I'm excited to see this relationship develop. We really enjoyed meeting the family. It was super cool. It was super cool. And so looking forward to that. They actually got a chance to, the last couple of podcast episodes, we were talking about college football, NCAA football. So it was fun to hear them in the other room play the game together, and, grown, responsible men who are out taking care of their family, just getting a moment of positive interaction and a breather to kind of reminisce and bring back that childlike fun. So that was super cool. It's always nice. There's so many other things that people can be doing in this world. There's so many negative things available. But when you have people who can come together and they could bring back their, continue to build on a historic relationship in a positive manner, in a positive environment that benefits both families, that's a beautiful thing to see. And it's rare. It's rare because like building relationships and friendships is like dating, and then you find that over years, everyone is not for you. People have changed, or some people haven't changed at all. Some people have healed, some people haven't healed at all. So when you find a person that you're on the same page with, and you could, parallel and, live your life and build a community within your family, I think that's something to be cherished, and that's a beautiful thing. So we're looking forward to just building that relationship with our families, and that was just grateful for that. All right, so a couple of other things before we wrap it up on this Monday, because I actually have to get ready to go to work today. I'm teaching today the greatest common factor in math. We're going over some prehistoric history with my 6th graders. What else? We are discussing Hatchet, the excerpt from Hatchet. What else are we doing in class today? We're going over science. Let's talk about science. I love teaching science. I'm just obsessed with the phases of the moon. I did not get a chance to check it out last night, but according to Google, hopefully Google is correct, we are in the waning gibbous phase. So waxing phases are like the increase of illumination, and the waning phases are the decrease of illumination. So we're in the waning gibbous phase according to Google. So once we go from the waning gibbous phase, then we'll enter into the 3rd quarter. Once we enter into the 3rd quarter, then eventually we'll get back to that new moon phase and start back again. I believe we are set to start fall officially, I think September 22nd. Let me see, fall 2024. Let's see. September 22nd. Yeah, there we go. September 22nd. We are set to start fall. I'm excited for it. I love fall. Starbucks, please bring out the pistachio flavored lattes. I think that's usually winter. I don't know. But I love fall. Really quick, I did look up some new shows for fall. And I have not heard of most of these, but I'll just run them by you. This comes from tvguide.com. It says the new shows of the 2024 fall TV season. Looks like we have one called English Teacher on FX. Is it FX usually like sci-fi or something like that? I don't know. I have to check that out. And then Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist. That's on Peacock with Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henderson, Terrence Howard. Oh, interesting. This also looks interesting. The Perfect Couple. I'm sure they're not that perfect. So probably, yep. It says involved in a murder. Sounds like my kind of show. What else? Wise Guy. David Chase in The Sopranos on HBO. And then it looks like we have an animated adult animation comedy, Universal Basic Guys. So that I like adult animated like series and stuff like that. And what else? There's a couple of other 3 Women on Stars, American Sports Story of Aaron Hernandez. Ooh, that story just creeps me out. That's during our era, so I don't know. That's coming on FX as well. And then High Potential on ABC. Yeah, a few others. So definitely. Ooh, Penguin on HBO. That looks interesting. Check out tvguide.com and look up the new fall shows for 2024. Well, let me just go here really quick. So, in essence, I'll leave you with this week. that, going back to work, I love, love, love not just the work that I do, but the environment that I'm in. I'm so grateful for the people that I work with. So many people from so many different backgrounds, which means that you get to learn from their experiences. I work with so many great teachers. I work with so many great teachers like assistants and special ed assistants, office staff, so many wonderful people that just bring together the best pedigree of an environment to work in. I'm always excited to get to work, to talk to them, to learn something, to hear about, different activities that they're interested in, because I'm just a nerd for different things. Books. I like to hear about different genres of books that people are listening to, games that they're playing, music they're interested in, places they like to go, activities they like to do. And that's what I mean by they bring something to the table. And so I just encourage you to surround yourself with like-minded people. And that doesn't mean that they have to only do the things that you do or only believe the things that you believe. But when I say like-minded, I'm talking about like-minded in a sense of openness, positivity, seeking enjoyment over, negative experiences or toxicity, being able to communicate, willing to communicate their thoughts positively and well. And everything is not always positive. If you find yourself in a misunderstanding or a conflict, being able to work through those things with understanding, you essentially, once you begin to heal and deal with your own personal development, I believe that you begin to attract those people who are like-minded, like you in mind. So if you feel like you're surrounded by so much negativity, maybe assess your thinking and maybe assess what you're attracting, and then start to practice, start to put into practice what you intend for your life, because it does take some time to practice and implement those things so that you're not just living out of habit or living out of trauma or experience that you've been raised into, but you're living intentionally in the things that you enjoy in that way, that not only are you don't necessarily have to go out and seek people, but you will attract people, animals, things, whatever it is will come to you. It's like the law of attraction, right? And so I hope that encourages you this Monday, literally Monday morning. It is August the 26th. It's Monday morning. This is your motivation for this Monday morning. Thank you for taking your valuable time to hang out with me, to address some of the thoughts, opinions that most often only reside in the innermost. It has been a wonderful pleasure to host you. I look forward to receiving your stories, exchanging experiences in our community at the Innermost Podcast at gmail.com or at Instagram at the Innermost Podcast. I hope you find enough motivation this Monday to carry you through the week. Take care and never abandon your innermost thoughts, opinions, and being. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Innermost Podcast. Check out new episodes every Monday for your weekly Monday motivation. Feel free to email your thoughts, experiences, and stories to be shared anonymously on Innermost Podcast at innermostpodcast@gmail.com. And follow the Innermost Podcast on Instagram. As always, be blessed and live in the innermost.